Hello, lovely people on the internet. Today I'm going to be building a Next.js app. It's going to have a nice little header, card section where I put videos, but you can put anything, articles, stuff you're selling, etc. Nice little footer section with some nice hover effects. This year will update every single year, so you don't have to worry about it. I'll show you guys how to do that. And then I put a nice little button here that links to my YouTube, but you can put anything for the button here. So yeah, without further ado, let's create this, and I'll show you guys how to customize the styles. We're going to be using TypeScript, Tailwind, Next.js, React. You're going to need a GitHub account. You're going to need VS Code or some other IDE. You're going to need Node installed on your machine. And yeah, without further ado, let's build this bad boy from scratch. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is open my terminal. I don't need to create a repository called Big Mike yet, anyways. CD, let me CD back. So I'm going to change directory CD to my desktop because that's where I want the folder to be. And then let me just clear this out so it looks better. Great. npx create app dash latest. That's what it is. npx create dash next dash app at latest. Again, I'm in the directory I want to be in the desktop because that's where I want it to populate. It's going to ask me what I want to name this. And I'm going to go with YouTube demo just to keep it nice and simple. What do I want to name the project? YouTube demo. Great. I'm just going to go with all the basics here. So we'll use TypeScript, ESLint, Tailwind, source directory, app router. Don't need to import the alias. Great. So let that build for a second. You know, I'm sure you're probably watching this video because you want to be a programmer, and that's fantastic. Programming is very frustrating, but it's also incredibly rewarding at times, especially when things are going right. So first thing we need to do, like I just mentioned, what we're waiting for is install npx create next app at latest, npx create next app at latest. That's almost done downloading. That's right, I use React. I can't set up Node environment now. Good acronym. JavaScript's actually great. It just can be a bit of a headache sometimes, but that's all right. So we're going to wait for this to load up. Fantastic. Looks like it was successful. So now I'll CD, change directory to my YouTube demo thing, code. That's to open it in VS Code, so it should pop up VS Code, and it did. That's fantastic. And then since VS Code has a terminal built in, I'm just going to X out of the terminal, make this full screen. You guys see that good? Yes. Yes, you should be able to. Go into source. Pull up the terminal. That little thing right there. When this terminal loads, I'm going to type yarn dev, see if I can get this bad boy to start up. Fantastic. It's running it. Next dev. That's what I like to see. Load in and load in and load in. I think it's just using a lot of CPU recording, so that's probably why it's going so slow. And it'll just be the normal Next.js app framework thing that you see when you create a Next.js app if it compiles and loads up. Again, I think it's just running a little slow because I got the recording software running at the same time I'm building this bad boy. It looks like it compiled. Perfect. All right, so first things first, we destroy, and from the ashes a beautiful app will rise. But for the time being, let's delete all the CSS styling. Save. We want to keep Tailwind. That'll get away with some of that styling. I guess it just takes time to compile. I'm going to delete this too. Yep, there you go. Styling is gone. Fantastic. Great. Actually, I'm going to get rid of everything. Run it all, including this main. And then I just want to put a little h1. Oh, I'm sorry, return. Don't need that. Enter. Delete that. Let me just put a little h1. hate when you're doing a TSX, for some reason it doesn't just, there we go. I am here. I will save that, and then we should see all of this disappear because I deleted it, and a little thing that says I am here. That's what I want to see. Perfect. All right, so we're going to need to install these things, but I'll just wait until we actually need to use them. I think is this meme so aptly points out, it seems like Next.js is just kind of the front-end wrapper, but Next.js heavily relies on PHP, and then React devs, like myself, relying on Next.js. So could be totally off, and that meme might maybe not be totally true, but I found it on the internet, and I thought it was hilarious, so I nevertheless put it in my presentation. All right, so great. First thing, we're going to copy and paste the header. So I've already had this code written out, but I'll show you guys and we'll go over it step by step. So the first thing, create a folder called components, because we're going to need some components. Create a new file, call it header.tsx. Fantastic. Like I said, I'm going to copy and paste in this header, but I will go over step by step what everything does. And I think we're also going to need to install that hamburger menu dropdown that I was mentioning. So let's see. There we go. Header.txx. That's what I want to see. Save. Yep. So we'll go back to this page, and this is what we need. Apologies, computer's just going a bit slow today. There we go. I'm just going to go ahead and open a new terminal. So you can use yarn or npm. I'm going to opt for yarn because that's what I used it to run. Or you know what, maybe I'll just do npm. Probably not best to mix package managers, but YOLO. Let's see. As you can see here, can't find these modules, so that's why we have to install these packages with Node Package Manager. And in the page, oh, looks like it added them no problem. Great. So we can delete that terminal. Still running in this terminal. And then I want to import header from don't need no. Import header from dash components dash header. Great. And then let me put my header right here. Let's see what the problems are. There needs to be a parent element. It makes sense, so we'll just make a div. That's making me that it doesn't just automatically formulate like it usually does in VS Code when I'm dealing with HTML. But I'm not dealing with HTML, I'm dealing with TSX, which is kind of like some weird combination of TypeScript and HTML, or JavaScript and HTML if you use a JSX file. Either way, I digress, and let's see if that header pops up. So reporting a component that needs use ref, alright, but I thought I had, oh, we need use client up here. Because I guess it can't be rendered on the servers. You're importing a component that needs use ref. It only works in a client component, but none of its parents are marked with use client, so there are server components by default. And obviously we cannot have that, so we need it to be on the client side. And now when this loads up, hopefully the header bar will appear. Ah, okay. So this is the problem with copy pasta. So let me show you guys. This is my YouTube demo file, as you can see. Yep, right. I did not mean to open that. So I opened that YouTube demo file that's on my desktop. Looks like this, right? It says we need to import the checkcodes thing. So in the public, this is where your photos are going to go. And I'm going to go ahead and import the two photos I was using. Give me a second. Gotta drag and drop some stuff. Real coding like. Nothing's spelled. I'm a developer like drag and drop. So these two things, let's duplicate them. Great. So these are the two pictures we're going to be working with. And I'm going to rename them just to get rid of the copy so they display perfectly well in my application when I need them. And I don't have to do any refactoring to get that to work. Okay. With that saved. So these images are in there. Let's restart this bad boy. Put those in the public folder, right? If you go in public, you should see those now. And voila, we got my Chep Codes logo there. I made that with Canva, so if you're wondering, I don't know how to make a logo, canva.com is fantastic. I love what they do. Let's see, we got the value for value link here. So if you get value out of this video and you want to tip me some sats, I got my Strike account linked. So you just hit $1 or whatever amount you want to send. It'll generate a Lightning invoice, and you can go ahead and pay that bad boy beautifully. Actually do that real quick, just so you can see how quick. Let me just enter my password, and I'll be right quick. All right, great. All right, so you see that copy Lightning invoice. Just want to show you guys the power value for value. I'm essentially tipping myself here, but that's all right. Paste in the Lightning invoice, $1 Strike tip, pay now. I'm essentially paying myself from one wallet to another, but I just want to show you how cool and seamless this is. I'm using the browser extension Alby to do this, which is what I typically use when I'm playing around on Nostr, which is a whole nother rabbit hole, but I love Nostr. And let's see if this bad boy works. Looks like it did. Oh, it expired. Failed. Lovely. When you need technology to work, it never works, but that's all right. You get the idea. I'll deal with that later. Strike's having some issues on their end. I don't know why I'm getting a 404 error, but I will get that figured out and handled. And in the meantime, I also have a merge page. You can go to Spring, S-P-R-I-N-G, and they do an incredible job basically handling all the backend stuff. You just have to design the clothing you want to sell, and Spring will handle everything else, and you just post a link and you're good to go. And I also made a meme page so we can kind of play around with how the routing works in Next.js. And you see this is running on localhost 3000 -memes, and this page can't be found yet because I have not created it, but we will create that together so you can see it. So yep, this nav bar is looking good. Let's go over the code together just so you get an idea. We're importing everything from the drop-down menu. The reason we did that, so you see we get this hamburger drop-down menu, hamburger menu icon right there. We're importing an image because you need next image, and we're importing that Chep Codes thing right up there. Export default function header. We have our header. I made the header blue, but we could do any type of background really. I could do green 300, and it would make it green. Obviously, the lower number, the lighter the green it will be, and the higher number, the darker green it will be. And when this recompiles, it should be green, or just completely atrocious. I think it just needs a second to load. That can't be right. Let's see. Yep, there we go. See, now it's green, and you can play around with that. I made the text white here, but I can make the text purple. 400. I'm gonna change all this. I got a nice little hover effect, so that's why these text change colors like that. But again, I like the color scheme I had, so I'm just gonna hit Command Z and go back on all that stuff. Save that, and it'll be back to our normal colorings. For the hamburger menu icon, so you can scroll here. If you want to change the size of that, we can make it massive, 25, 25. This is going to be just disgustingly big, but just to show off, you know, you can just play around with that and change it to really any size you want. I guess it was so big, it just had to resize. Maybe there's like a certain size when it just goes back to default. I don't know why it's so tiny. It should be much bigger there. There you go. See, yep. And we'll just go back to, I liked it at 7. I thought it was a good size. Perfect. Save that. And this should resize down to what it was at. Fantastic. Yeah, that's hidden. These will only be triggered when you get to that certain threshold. So on mobile, it'll display like that. But otherwise, if you wanted to make this image smaller, you know, you could shrink this down to 100, and then this down to 25. So the width and height, it's rounded too. It doesn't have to be rounded. So you just wanted to keep it slightly rounded. So when you're using Tailwind, as you can see it says class name here, you don't actually have to worry about the global CSS file because Tailwind will style it. And I think the rounded looks better, so I'm going to keep the rounded. But just to give you an idea, you know, see that's got ever so slightly rounding if you zoom in. So hit Control Z, rounded full. I think that looks better. Again, you change all those colors, calling this header. I have links down here. Target blank opens that in a new tab. So that's why when I click any of these, it opens up in a new tab, but if I took away this target blink right here, it would not open in a new tab. And if you want to change the text in any of these things to customize it, simply change the text right there, and it'll go ahead and do that. So we copy and pasted for our header, and let me just expand this so we can see again. Great. So whenever I'm free, I like to go to watch anime or so you don't code in your spare time. Well, coding is my job. I have a life outside. Wrong answer, rejected. It's tough out here being a dev. All right, great. So we're going to copy and paste for the footer. So we need to go in our components, new file, footer.tsx is what we want. And I'm going to copy and paste in the footer, and I'll show you what that looks like. And then we will go over all the code together and how to customize it for your own website that you will hopefully build. Unless you're just watching this for fun, but most people I find would typically want to build a website. So let's see. I don't think this component needs to use client, but I believe it's best practice because it needs to render on the client side. Let's see. So yep, we're going to be using font awesome. So let's go back over here. npm install all these things. Font awesome just lets us import icons, make it super easy. So I'm going to hit new terminal, copy and paste the command when that new terminal pops up, and it's going to go ahead and download those packages. So we have font awesome running in our application, which is a super useful tool. And while that downloads, I'll go to my page tsx, and I'm going to have footer. Great, so it's going to say, well, excuse me, sir, where is that footer coming from? So we need to import that footer, and we're going to import it from, you already know exactly where we did the other ones in components - footer. And that needs to be in parentheses. That's why it's giving me all these problems. Alright, there we go. Perfect. Save that. Looks like our packages are installed, so I can go ahead and delete that. Save that. And now when I go back to my Brave browser, we should see a footer appear once that recompiles. So while we're waiting for that to recompile, I'll go over the code with you guys. Importing React, importing all the font awesome stuff we're going to be using. Great, so that actually went pretty fast. You see we've got these nice hover effects. Excuse me, my computer again is just going slow because this recording software uses a lot of my computer's processing unit, a lot of CPU. But as you can see, we got a nice hover effect. So you got the Twitter blue-ish color, the red, orange, or I'm sorry, the red for YouTube, and the gray for GitHub. And yeah, let's go over the code together. So we're using the client, which seems to be best practices for Next.js. Import React. I don't even know if we need that, to be honest, but I'm just going to leave it. We're importing all the font awesome things we're using, so Twitter, YouTube, GitHub. I just want to show you guys real quick. Say you wanted to do LinkedIn. I mean, there's tons of things, but say you wanted to use LinkedIn, right? Well, check this out, super easy. Each of these is an A tag with the font awesome. I tag is an A tag with the font awesome tag inside of it. And why that's important is because the A tag is an anchor tag. It allows you to link to something. So when you click this, you can see my GitHub or my YouTube page or whatever. And the font awesome icon is obviously just that cool icon that you see right there. So for the LinkedIn one, and we'll change. See that this hover semicolon text gray. Well, LinkedIn is not gray. It's like, I think it's like a blue 700 or something like that. I'm guessing here. So let's see. See if we get LinkedIn. No. What did I do wrong? I think it's right there. Yeah, I just didn't spell that right. Ah, there we go. And we got the nice LinkedIn blue. And obviously, if I wanted to add, I'd put my LinkedIn link right here, but I'm not actually going to keep the LinkedIn, just to give you guys an idea. These are all wrapped inside of a main div. And to get this date, I create a variable, call it current_year. I'll set that to a new date, which is a method that's just built into Node.js. And I'm going to say get full year. And this way, every year, this will automatically update, so you don't have to worry about 3 years from now in 2026. Someone coming to look at your website and it's saying 2023, that'll automatically update every single year if you code it up like this. And yeah, all these things are the same. If you want to play with it, you can play with the hover thing. I got a 5 or half a second hover change, but if you wanted that hover change to take 5 whole seconds, we could do 5,000, and then it would take much longer. Looks like it's still recompiling. Which one did I change that for? The YouTube. Alright, so let's see if it actually takes that much longer. No, this is actually super fast. So that seems instantaneous. I want to slow it down. Maybe the lower you go? Could be completely wrong on that. It's really not relevant, but now I'm just curious for my own sake. I thought that would be the case. Yes, here we go. So it's just kind of weird. We'll just leave it at 500, but you can play around with that and adjust that to your own style. I'm going to get rid of this LinkedIn because I don't need it anymore. I like the 3. LinkedIn is not my favorite social media platform personally, but to each their own. And then we have the footer up here, which you can change these colors. See the text white, blue, but all that's customizable. I centered the text, so if you didn't want the text centered, well, that'd be kind of weird, but theoretically, you could just have it all be on the side if that's what you so desired. But again, obviously that looks weird, so I'm going to say text center, bring that back. So now we're rocking. We got a nice footer and a header, and we have 2 more sections to make. I don't know what that error is, but I don't care. I'll deal with that later. So let's go with the home content.tsx file. Should stick to the script here, but I like going off the script sometimes. Copy and paste footer. We did that. I wish I could front-end apps Java. I wish I could data science PHP. I wish I could back-end Python JavaScript. Yeah, for all its faults, JavaScript gets the job done. Call it get the job done script. Alright, great, home content. So for my home content, obviously this is the part that you're probably going to want to spend a lot of time customizing, because unless you just want to completely rip off this website, which the code is open source, so I mean you could, but I feel like you'd want to use your writing skills for yourself. So we will import this into the page TSX, this home content, just like we did all the other things. Home content from dash components dash home content. Perfect. I'm going to get rid of this I in here now because we do not need that. Great. We can say home content. Just what we want to see. And let me save this home content. Great, so now when this loads, we should see most of that content right there. And while that loads, we'll go over the code together. So I have this, which is a tag, be a div tag too. I just decided to not go with the div tag. It really doesn't make a difference. Import image from Next.js because I'm going to import this boating image. I have a greetings, I'm Chep. The reason I have it like this weird little thing right here is because this thing can sometimes be misconstrued and cause errors since you typically wrap string variables in quotation marks. That's why you have this. So when this gets compiled and read, it doesn't confuse the computer. Just a simple H2 that says greetings, I'm Chep. I help people to learn the code by using memes. And then you can customize the size of the text. So say you wanted the text to be medium because you just thought this header was a bit too big. You see I customized it to be medium and it should shrink that down a bit. Yep, just like that. There we go. You saw that. I want to put it back at 2XO because that looks better. And you know what? Why don't we go with purple 700 because I think that would be a nice looking color. Purple 700, I got the font bold, I got margin top 4 spaces and the margin bottom 2 spaces just to give it a little separation from the other two things. Great, I got my picture here which has slightly rounded, as you can see, class name rounded. I set it to 200, but say you want your picture to be bigger or whatever, you can set it to 300, 300 or whatever your heart desires and it will increase the size of that photo. So when this recompiles and loads up, you should see this photo being bigger. Please take your sweet time, computer. No rush, no rush. It's all right. There we go. Photo is bigger. Set that back to what it was with Command Z. Great. Just a simple p tag down here with text gray 700. You know what? Why don't we make that purple? We'll stick with the purple theme for this. And then leading, relax. I forget what that does honestly, but let's see. First it's going to recompile as purple. I want to see what it does when I forget what this styling does. I took that away, so recompile for a second. See, I think it might just have to do with how, yeah, it just looks like it has to do with the typography, so the font. Keep that in there. It's just some copy about me. And then a simple button with an A tag inside of it, with a nice hover effect like that. And we are going to need to, I want this in the middle, but we'll style that in the middle with my page section when we get down to it. Yeah, we'll center that text in the actual landing page section later on. So the last thing we need to do is create that little cards thing. We'll call that, what do I have it labeled as? Normal computers, yes, no. Quantum computers, well yes, but actually no. Quantum computing, yep, copy and paste the video section. So let's go over all of this together. New file, video section .tsx. Great. Perfect. I use iframe in YouTube, so if you're curious, like, Connor, where the heck do you get iframe? Well, let me show you guys. Let's find a great lo-fi song, because who doesn't live live without to a lo-fi song? And if you have nothing to put in the cards right now, I don't think anyone would be upset if you put lo-fi in the cards until you got something for your portfolio to put in there. Trapping in Japan is kind of lo-fi, not really, but kind of close. It's got lo-fi in the title, so see. And it's taking forever to load, but if you hit the share button down here on YouTube, there we go. And if you hit embed, it'll give you this. See iframe, an iframe tag. You can hit copy, and you can upload that to your IDE. So I've already done that, but just so you guys know how to get an iframe in there, I set the width to 100%, the height to 315, the video, the title, and then the things you can allow. So I think this allows someone to play it. Got the grids. Don't need to go into all of that, but it basically just makes it dynamic. So you can see large grids. You can see 3 columns per row. So you think, when I think of a column, I think of the long things that you see in doorways. So, typically straight up, whereas a row would be diagonal. So there are, for every one row, there are going to be 3 columns across that row for the large screen. And then when it gets to a medium screen, it's going to cut down to 2. And then on an iPhone screen where it's very tall and vertical, there's only going to be 1 column per row. What else we got here? This will make more sense if I can actually show you guys on the page. So let me go, now that we got this video section, let me import that to my main page. Import video section from dash components. Exactly. We go down to video section. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. It's going to go under my home content. Video section. Love it. Save that. Go back to the app. Let's see what we are rocking with. Hopefully we see a video section down here. And then, just because it's irking me to look at this horribly styled homepage without the main class name centering the text, I'm going to use Tailwind to style this so it's centered. Oh yes, and there we go, featured videos. Beautiful. Just like that, I'd love to see it. And then hopefully now, see on a large screen you can see the top 3 videos, but when you get to medium screen you can only see 2 per row, and then when you get on an iPhone screen it just has them as such with 1, which is great. And this is coming along, it's looking much better, but we need to style this text and this button so it doesn't look all weird. So I believe I could actually, since this is the main thing, I'll call this main. Call that main, and then I'm going to give it this class name, max width 4XL, give that some auto margin, some padding. I'll make it display flex direction column, and then we'll center the items, and this should make it so my writings are centered on the page. Let's see. And it does, but that looks super weird. So let me actually do it like this, because the problem is it's obviously shrinking my header and those things. I mean, maybe I could just do item center and get rid of all of this weird padding for everything. I guess just that padding. See if that fixes it. Compile. Apologies for the background noise. Someone decided to do some work outside. Yeah, that's not working. So let me try this. Background gray, export default. Got the header above that. The footer, okay, so yeah, we put the header and the footer outside of that main section. Perfect. And then I think, when I first set this up, I had it like this, and you see this is pretty much ready to go. It's centered. I mean, purple text honestly looks kind of weird, but I'm just going to leave that, let you guys figure out how to style it. I got these break tags in here because if I don't have the break tags in here, this comes all the way up to the button. It just looks weird. You'll see when it recompiles. Give it a second. Yeah, see, that just looks weird, obviously, so let me put those break tags back in there. And then, how can I video section? Maybe, yeah, if I put it outside of this, so see, now the video section will not have any of this styling in the main section. But, I think it does look good kind of having those cards things, but I just think that looks so much better because you can actually see the whole videos. And you guys are going to see me in real time try and struggle with how I can figure out how to set this so it doesn't have such a, so it still has that nice background, but it's not so, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, not so compressed in. Max width 4XL, padding 4. See, hopefully that helps it out a little bit. Sounds like it could have a little bit of padding, but just not an insane amount of padding. So we need the flex direction. But maybe max width you can get rid of. Okay, perfect. Exactly what I was looking for. We just don't need that max width thing. And yeah, see now it's its own card. It's separate from the background. And actually, let me make this gray 200. Just make it a slightly bit darker because I feel like it looks good when that card pops with the white. Nice, nice. Yep. See now it's just a slight bit darker. And yeah, I'm going to show you guys now how to deploy this. Oh, there's one thing I forgot to do. And that is we need to create the meme routes together. Heck overflow. How do I A? You do B, but that doesn't do A. Yeah, nobody does A. Yeah, you know, honestly, in my coding journey, I haven't even used Stack Overflow that much because of these AI agents, and they're great. But I heard it is a super valuable tool for some. Anyways, I digress. We're going to create a routes folder. So create a folder. Make sure that you put the routes in parentheses because your compiler will ignore that when it goes to create these routes. And if you don't put it, then there's going to be something at /-routes. Obviously, I don't think we want that unless you want to make a route for routes. But I don't. So we'll create a new folder called memes. I'm sorry. Yeah, create a new folder, not a file. We're going to name this folder memes because this will be the route. And then when people go to it, let's just make sure it's there. We'll create a page.tsx file. And in that page.tsx file, I'm going to copy and paste in what it's going to look like in a second. But before I do that, and you guys are like, whoa, why did you just paste in all that code? Let's just simply create const meme page equals arrow function. I miss GitHub Copilot, but I don't feel like paying Microsoft's fee. I'm going to hit that use client. This is going to be component client going to use client. Fantastic. Return. And H1. I am the meme page. Export default meme page. And let's see. Where am I going wrong? Constant page, return something. Am I not? No, I am. There we go. Remember, if someone's messing up with the computer, it's always on your end. It's not the computer's fault. It's your fault, unless like some solar flare comes, but it's simply almost never the case. So now when we go to the meme page, hopefully we can see the I am the meme page thing. And you'll see it'll take us to /-memes, because that's where I had the anchor tag route to when you click that button. Yes, up here. And it says I am the meme page, which is fantastic. So we got this created successfully. Now that that's up, I'm going to show you guys what my actual meme page will look like. And this code might seem complicated at first. Don't worry, it's really not that complicated. What we're creating is some meme data here. Interface meme. I don't think we need this. I'm not going to lie, I had ChatGPT help me generate some of this code. So I don't even think we need that, but I could be totally wrong. Keep on loading. Yep, so what we have to do is I am hosting these images somewhere called nostr.build, which is just a website that allows me to host images. and I have to go, which file is it? I know this, I think it's this file. Yeah, in the post config, next config, I'm sorry, not post config, where is that next config JS, and I need to update my next config JS to basically say, hey, yeah, this URL we can use, like, feel free to let it be in there. So in next config, I'm going to just have next config put images, because that's what I'm importing from this URL. And then in parentheses, I have to put the actual domain that these images are coming from, which is not, or I'm sorry, parentheses i.noster.build. I think that is it. Let's see, give that just in case everyone had anything later on. And then hopefully now that I added i.noster.build, should be good to go. I didn't stop running it, did I? Just restart up my, what the hell? Okay, that is annoying me. Terminal, stop that. So rude. Close out that terminal, open a new one, because that last terminal was just being mad disrespectful. Hopefully this terminal doesn't want that smoke. On dev, get my local environment up and running this again, running that next dev command. Great. And then now hopefully when this compiles and loads up, my memes will be showing. And in the meantime, let's go back to the memes thing so I can talk you guys through the code, what's happening here. All right, great. So I'm just creating a an array of objects, and an object is something that has a key value pair. So the key is ID and the value is 1. The key here is URL and the value is i.noster.build. So this object has 2 keys and values inside of it. Each of these does actually. The interface is the meme data. What the heck? Is it crashing? Compiling? No. Localhost refuse to connect. Compiling, routes memes page. So this just kind of sets the size of that image, gives it some margin and a black border around it. This just says enjoy the memes up top. It'll localhost 3000, see if that fixes it. Alright, cool. That popped up. Now if I go to my memes page, enjoy the memes and on. Maybe I just didn't import, oh, nope, there we go. Memes are popping up. Cha-ching! That's great. So, let's go back to the memes code so you guys can see what I do here. Basically, I create these const memes things, pass it these memes props. Probably not best practice to do this all in a single component, but it's taken up enough time. I'm not going to refactor it. Probably could refactor this a little better, but whatever. It's going to ride. And then in this meme page, basically, I'm going to return an H1. Up here it says enjoy the memes and on. You can see it's styled, so it's green. It's centered, and the text clamps when it's medium. Down here, we're using meme data.map. So map means you iterate over an array, right? And we have an array of objects. So it's iterating over all the objects inside this array and basically displaying it. So this URL tag displays that. And I think this is the second one. Maybe, I'm pretty sure the second one. It's going to display that. And actually, I know for a fact it's the second one because, yeah, when you go like this. So this URL is for this image, and this URL is for this image. So down here you see meme data.map, and it's mapping over all of them. And then if you wanted to change the size of these, you can play with this down here. That'll change the size. And yeah, we keep those all in a div. because they all need to be in one parent element. And then we export the meme page, and simple as that. Yeah, you can go to the meme. Right. You can go to the meme page and see all these memes. And Nostr.build is a great tool. Highly recommend. I love using them if you want to get some images hosted with the URL, and it adjusts nice and dynamically, so it's nice and styled. And now that we got that figured out, all that's left to do is get this bad boy deployed. But I'm very happy with how this card section turned out. It was actually better than how I have it on this checked codes one, and I'm going to go back and actually update this so it doesn't have that weird, it's not so tiny, it looks more like how this looks. And like I said, the last thing we need to do is deploy this, but I lied. Before we deploy this, we need to go into the layout and just show you guys. It says create next app. I want to say YouTube demo. And if you look up here, create next app. But if I save this in layout.txx, in the metadata, a demo from our YouTube channel. Oh, great, not the scrolling thing. VS Code's just taking a little time to process. Demo from my YouTube channel, save that. YouTube demo. You love to see it. Alright, so let me pull up GitHub real quick. Create a new repository. Call this bad boy YouTube demo. Create repository. Push an existing git at origin YouTube demo.git branch main. So I have just created this. Maybe in the beginning, honestly, it'd probably be just simpler to save yourself time and any hassle if you just basically create the repository, run this, and then every time you add a component, maybe push it up just to make sure things are working. But we're just going to go in and push an existing repository from the command line. So down here, I'm going to stop that, copy and paste what I just got here by hitting that button, right? And if all goes according to plan, this should push that up to GitHub. That was super fast, so I'm not convinced that it pushed everything up, but we'll see. Public source, let's see if it has my pictures. So it does not, so it clearly did not. That's perfectly alright. It just basically created a Next.js app, so we'll hit git add, git commit, added components and photos, so I can deploy a good looking app to Vercel. Fantastic. And then simply git push. And it'll take a second and it should push all of that stuff up to GitHub. Might just take some time, or maybe I have to run git init. I'm gonna hit Control C, git init. I'm gonna say git push. Because when it gets stuck like that, I just feel like sometimes I can tell it's not gonna go all the way through. Maybe git push origin main. Why is it getting stuck here? The worst. Maybe this will do it. want to get that, yeah, obviously. Go check out here. So I'm back on the main branch. See if I can push this up. Oh my gosh, get rid of everything. No. Oh gosh. Oh, that's so frustrating. That is so frustrating. But that's what happens. You know what? It's alright because I think I can fix my... Luckily, I have this as check codes on mine, but this is why I said you should have just basically set it up from the beginning before you write all that code, and then, like me, take my problems as a grain of salt to do it better than I did it. Luckily, I have this other check code saved, and it hasn't deleted this yet, but what did I want in the normal page.tsx? That's what I wanted. Let me see my check code file. Check codes. Great, that's what I'm looking for. So I get rid of that one thing. Again, I totally botched that YouTube explanation, but do better than me. Don't pull all that code down and have it delete all your files, right? Just git add, git commit, and updated card to look better. Good push. And then, to be honest with you, I'm just going to delete everything I had in this YouTube demo folder. We're just going to go ahead and delete that. And I'm basically going to take my normal check codes file and update that README with what I promised to deliver earlier. Don't need this. Checkmate dash YouTube demo. Delete this repository. Hate your repository. Great, Vercel. Delete. Alright, cool. So I just push that up. And when we go to this, check codes, import, deploy. And it's really that simple. Basically, just import it straight from your GitHub, and then this bad boy will go ahead and deploy, and you can go to your dashboard. And just like that, check codes. You click on it. You can see your deployment once it loads up. Smith, check codes.Rochelle app. And after making those tweaks, hopefully, yeah, the video section looks better. We didn't need that big width thing. It's got all these nice styles. It's got the meme page. And that is pretty much it. If last thing I'll mention is if in the deployments and the settings, you can change this. So say you bought a domain at GoDaddy.com. I have a domain, ConnorShepnick.com. I actually have that deployed just straight through GitHub because it's also free. But say I wanted to deploy a Next.js project for my personal website, where I think it's in maybe advanced. In one of these things in the settings, you can definitely change the name servers. So, or the domain naming services. So your domain can point directly to this application. It's somewhere in there, I forget. Yeah, guys, I hope you got value out of this. This website is live. I will include this in the YouTube comment sections. If there's anything I missed or something I could do better in the future, please let me know. The next video I do, I'm going to show you guys how to build a little more of an advanced app, something like this, where you shall see in a second once this actually loads up, because again, this video recording software is taking a lot of my CPU power. Yeah, where you get like a nice text effect like that, where it just rotates these back images. Just another way to do the cards like this, rather than how I have them on mine. Some other cool stuff, you know, little hover effects, etc., etc. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to send me some stats or leave a like or comment. This is a value for value show, so anything you guys send is very much appreciated. It keeps me motivated to keep making these, and I hope you guys learned something and have a great rest of your day.